A $9.9 million renovation in the works at Ewert Park in Joplin. I'm Lisa Oligus, and you're watching Newsmakers. In this edition, we take a deep dive into the plan for the 14-acre park where construction is already underway. Plus, we look into the community involvement and input in deciding the future of the park that originally opened in 1925 for the African-American residents in Easttown. Joining us to begin our conversation is Joplin Parks and Recreation Director Paul Bloomberg. Welcome, Paul.
Hello, how are you doing?
This is exciting. I'm doing well. It's lots of changes happening to that park. Very exciting. Let's start our discussion with one of the biggest changes, moving from a swimming pool to a splash park.
Right.
So that pool's been there a really long time. So let's talk about this change. Will it be similar to one like in Webb City? That's more of a splash pad.
Right.
What's the difference between the two?
So the splash park is actually going to encompass the whole area that the pool encompassed, right? So it's going to have so many different elements. We have a huge splash playground that'll be included in this park. We have splash elements, splash playground tables for the kids to play on, splash zones that come out of the water, out of the concrete, I mean. So that part will be huge. We'll have food trucks that'll be parked in there so people can eat. We'll have outdoor lawn games in the turf area. We'll have lights. We'll have lounge chairs, picnic tables, umbrellas. So it's a huge atmosphere for the people to come in and enjoy themselves, relax, have a great time.
And it sits in the exact same place where the swimming pool was.
Right.
So will this mean you don't have to have as many lifeguards? Does that solve that problem that I know we had before?
Right. Yeah. We used to have a huge problem. We don't have that anymore. But hey, that's okay. Yes. Actually, a lot of splash parks don't even have lifeguards. We don't like that. We still feel that we need to have someone there present for emergencies, accidents that happen, first aid. So we are going to have a manager there during the day. So people feel if a kid runs around and scratches himself when he falls down, we have some first aid available for them. So yeah, we'll have one.
Okay, so switching to the opposite season, something that will be truly unique will be an ice ribbon. So explain where that will go and how an ice ribbon works.
Right. So you won't even notice the ice ribbon. It's there during the splash park season, right? So it's underground. There's a refrigerated ribbon. It's I believe it's like 20. I want to say it's 12 feet wide ribbon that intermingles. Does kind of like a crazy 8 minus the 8 that crosses in the middle. So it's like a kidney bean, I guess. Let's say a kidney bean, and it goes around the splash park within inside there, and it'll have boards like clear hockey board, like when you go to a hockey game.
Sure.
You'll have clear boards up. We'll have little carts for people who can't ice skate very well, like myself. I would be using one. We'll rent out ice skates, but we're also at the same time we'll be having activities. We'll have gas fire pits going. We'll have outdoor games again, but we'll have gas heaters all over the place, food trucks. We're even looking into the possibility of getting those igloos that people can rent out for family events and stuff like that. So we make it, again, a special event atmosphere.
When you talk about it, is it like ice? I mean, describe what the surface is like.
It will be ice.
It will be ice.
It's refrigerated. So there's a cooling system, refrigeration system underneath that we are going to be installing during construction. And so, yeah, it will. We'll turn it over in the winter season to a chiller, and it will refrigerate it like, I guess a freezer.
Does the surface, though, get covered in summer so that it isn't impacted?
No, because the surface is concrete. And so what happens is you will actually put a layer of water, and you build it up to a certain extent, and as it freezes, you keep on adding, and then we don't have a Zamboni, but we will have something similar to that will keep the ice smooth and keep it maintained.
All right, that's excellent. So Also in the park, you're going to upgrade the playground. So talk to us about, I mean, there is some equipment there. How will it be different? Why do we need an upgrade?
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we have, every once in a while we like to upgrade our equipment. That equipment's been there for over 10 years. So we typically like to, get some new, fresh equipment in, because they're constantly making new equipment for kids. So we decided, we do have a stakeholders group that helped us out, committee that helped us out with this renovation. And so, that was one of the things we got their input from, and not just them, but the community itself. But, that park was huge, has a huge history, and jazz was a huge history in that park. So, having elements of musical instruments within the playground, we added that. So you're going to see that. Plus, we want to move the playground from the back of the park to the front of the park, so it could be visible from the road, so, it's not hidden. Plus, we're going to have it fenced in. It'll be one of our first playgrounds ever fenced in, and it will also be turfed.
And is it then handicap accessible? Do
Yep.
we also have like certain areas that can be functional for kids of all abilities?
Yep. This will be not outside of the Miracle Field that we have at the athletic complex. This will be our first synthetic turf, ADA accessible playground.
Excellent. All right. So you're going to be switching around tennis courts to basketball courts.
Yep.
Will that cover a bigger area? And why make that change?
It's pretty much the same layout as the tennis courts. We're using the same area. It will seem bigger because this is going to be covered. So now we have a multi-purpose sports event area where, if it's raining, you can still go ahead and play basketball. The basketball hoops will be electronically movable, so you can go up and down with them. They're not they don't stay in place. So if we have, it kind of serves dual purpose. Not only can we play basketball, we can also turn it into a venue for performances, because we'll have a stage attached to it as well. It's our amphitheater, which is like a 1,500 square foot performing amphitheater that'll be attached on the west side, so you can perform when it's nice and sunny and everybody wants to be outside. You can perform to the west, to the lawn, or if it's not, you want shade and it's too hot, you can have everybody come inside the covered basketball area and perform to them.
Okay, I didn't
inside.
realize those two were attached, because Emancipation Days has always been held at Ewert Park, and I know they've always had bands. So with this amphitheater, will it lend itself to even more events?
Oh yeah, we hope so. We had a so-called amphitheater shelter in that park that's actually we took out, and it's going to be repurposed somewhere else. But this will open it up for a lot more performances, the park will get used even more.
So you did have a shelter with picnic tables. Are those tables then moving elsewhere, or will there be? Is it around the splash park?
Right.
Area?
So we still have a huge shelter there. It's the one. It's our biggest one that holds around 100 people.
Wow.
That'll still be there. It'll be renovated. It'll have new paint. We're going to be doing stuff to the bathrooms inside, getting them all cleaned up, and they'll look brand new. So that will still be there. And we'll move the picnic tables from the previous shelter. That was really small. It probably held like 20, 30 people. Those will be moved to other shelters in the parks, because the splash park area will have new tables and amenities over there. So
how much of the actual 14 acres is changing? And is it pretty much the entire park? And then how's construction going right now? Is it on time? Do we expect to meet the goal?
Sure. Well, if you drive by right now, it looks like the whole park is under renovation. There's only two structures still standing. It's the bathhouse, and there's an old rock storage building in the very north part of the park that's original to the park. So that's staying. Everything else, there's dirt and gravel everywhere. So it looks like a brand new park, and it will look like that when we're all done. Yes, we're on schedule. We're looking at sometime in September of this year to be done with that, just in time. We'll hopefully get to use the splash park for a month. You never know with Missouri weather. We can go into the middle of October, and then we'll get ready for the ice season. and see how that goes.
You're adding some security features. You mentioned lighting.
Right.
Why was that important, especially at this park? Was it dark a lot?
I mean, all of our parks are dark. Let's be honest. You know, one thing that came out during our city manager's listening tour was the safety of our parks. People wanted to make sure they felt safe, and we felt, you know, security lighting and cameras would be beneficial in our parks. So we just recently were approved for 8 of our parks to have security lighting and cameras.
Excellent.
And that's underway as well. We awarded both of those contracts to local companies. And so Ewert will be part of that renovation. So it'll be exciting. I mean,
Yeah. So, and to wrap things up, it's a $9.9 million price tag. What are some of the funds that rolled into this to make this happen?
Sure. Obviously, you know, the big funds were, it was a Parks and Stormwater quarter-cent sales tax project that the voters approved. But you know, with the price increase over the years, before we got to do this project, we had to add some dollars to it. So we did pass the use tax a few years ago, and so we have three or four different areas of the use tax. I think the Proposition Action Committee approved using use tax dollars from the Capital Improvement Fund, the TST Fund, and the Parks and Stormwater Tax Beautification Fund.
You did mention the stakeholder committee. We're going to talk to a number of them in our next couple segments. Why was it important to get that input, and how do you think it made a difference?
Well, you know, Ewert being 100 years old, I mean, it has a huge historical value to our community. Without the help of the community and the neighborhood who were part of that group, I would have not have known how to even know where to go with the historical aspect. I mean, we have 6 or 7 storyboards going in. We have a big, huge monument, not monument, but information board going in for Paul Ewert to tell the story of how that came about and how he donated this to the community and neighborhood of Joplin, and it's amazing. I learned so much with this stakeholders group, and you know, the park, you know, I don't want to say the park is theirs, but because it's all of everybody's in Joplin. But I mean, it was given to that neighborhood, and so
and they feel like they have ownership.
They do, and it's an amazing park.
Excellent. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing it when it comes about.
Right.
Thank you, Paul Bloomberg.
Thanks.
We're going to take a break. As we do, we hear from a number of former Easttown residents who interviewed for a special history project, and we hear their memories of Ewert Park and its importance to their community.
Ewert Park was awesome. It was like no other park. It had a 25-foot sliding board. All the kids broke their arms and legs on it. But the Newberger House was on one side. You go across the bridge, and there was the kindergarten. But then you come back across the bridge, and there was the swimming pool. We had a old swimming pool, and the jukebox was on the front porch, and we played music outside.
On Wednesdays, they would show movies, Wednesday evenings. A lot of times, the old folks would be sitting over there. It's kind of nice to say old folks now, but anyway, they would be sitting over there playing cards on the table, on the picnic tables, and the young kids would be playing cards or, you know, doing whatever they wanted to do and whatever else.
It was so many people at the park till you just like stepped over people. You know, you never had to leave. You just had fun. You know, they had food stands in the park, and they had rides. We had swim at the swimming pool. We got to keep the swimming pool like for the whole weekend because it was ran by blacks at the time.
Welcome back to Newsmakers. City officials didn't plan the renovations at Ewert Park alone. They sought input from the community, in particular those familiar with the history of the park and the Easttown neighborhood. They created the Stakeholders Committee. Joining us to discuss that relationship and their input are stakeholders Fred Palmer and Tracy Thompson. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us,
Yes,
Lisa.
ma'am.
It's a pleasure.
This is great. The changes are coming to Ewert Park, and you had a voice in those changes. So why did each of you agree to be on that stakeholder committee? Why was it important to you?
It was almost a natural fit. I would say somewhere around 2018, 2019, there were some discussions about doing something with Ewert Park swimming pool. Having grown up in and around Ewert, that was really the only park that I knew.
Yeah.
and knowing the historical significance but related to the black population, hey, it was almost a natural fit that we would be stakeholders.
Yeah. Tracy, why did you want to have a voice?
Almost identical to what Fred said. I grew up, born and raised in Joplin, grew up in Ewert Park, went down there in the summertime all the time,
Yeah.
learned how to swim at Ewert Park, being thrown in the deep end and having to swim back to the side. So it serves to give a lot of memories back to me.
Yeah. Well, you have ownership in this park. So Ewert Park has a long history involving the Black community, even its original dedication. So talk to us about the land donation, its start, and preserving that history.
For me, and I'm sure I speak for most of the stakeholders that were involved with the project, we wanted to make sure that the history associated with the Black community was preserved.
We were the focal point at that time, back in 2018, because we were going to the meetings, and we were a voice in the community at that moment, and we had history at the park.
Yeah.
Growing up and being born and growing up in Easttown, so I relate to exactly what Fred's saying.
Yeah.
Well, even more so, going back to the era of segregation, there were parks and there were land set aside for the citizens of Joplin to go and have outdoor activities and things, and quite frankly, the Black community didn't have that. So around the 1920s, when Mr. Paul A. Ewert, a U.S. attorney from Wisconsin, who happened to be serving in Joplin as an attorney, he saw a need and he filled it with the donation of the 11.5 acres that is now Ewert Park.
Yeah.
That to us is of most importance because there was not a place designated for the Black population in Joplin at that time.
So let's talk about, there's going to be a kiosk. What kind of history did you want to be recognized and shared through this kiosk and in other ways?
Go ahead.
Everything. Absolutely everything. But most importantly is that it was more than just a park to us. It was a hub for not just the community in Joplin, the Black community in Joplin, but surrounding areas as well. It was a hub for entertainment, for sports. Althea Gibson was here and played tennis there at the tennis court. I mean, it was much more to us than just a park. So on the kiosk, we want to definitely acknowledge those that put forth the hard work and effort. When the land was deeded, a lot of folks don't realize, but that the Black community went to work clearing the land, making space, making it a viable avenue or stake of land for us to have something for the Black community. So entertainment, the folks that put forth the hard work and the effort, we don't want that to be lost. We almost feel like we are gatekeepers, if you will, of the early promise to be good stewards over what was given to us by Mr. Ewert even back then. So to have that on the kiosk, not just the history, but how we are a multicultural community now.
Yeah.
And that we want to share that and our message with everyone.
And there are other names like Mrs. Meeks, Mrs. Cute. They worked in the park in the early days, once it was deeded to us, to the Black community. They took care of the park. They ensured that the park was, like Fred said, was suitable for everybody to come down and enjoy it, because that was the only one that folks of color in Easttown and Joplin could go to. So they took care of the park. You had some other folks that actually helped to keep security down there in that park during those early years.
Yeah. I mean, Newburger House was there, and so it was a big
and
source.
that was formerly Carver Nursery School.
Right.
And very fond memories there, because I went to Carver Nursery School, and I think everybody else might.
We have interviews a number of people from the Black community who all mentioned that Ewert Park was the place to go. Was it hard to say goodbye to the swimming pool? Because that was one of the fondest memories of folks. So now that it's changing, what are you thinking of the changes?
It was bittersweet. It was bittersweet. Because Ewert Pool has sat for so long without use, it was hard to see it just sit and decay. And to see that when you would pass by or when you would visit the park, that was difficult. So the promise of something brand new, something exciting, something like a ice ribbon, something like a splash pad to put it into use. That was the sweet part of it.
Yeah.
So definitely, when you think about it, what it looked like when we grew up had changed somewhat in around 1995 with the renovations that were made. So some of that was kind of lost there.
Yeah.
We still hold our memories there, and it still kind of strikes a nerve some, but the promise of what it will be far outweighs what it was.
You mentioned tennis courts. One last question, Tracy. They're going to do basketball. Do you think that's going to be a better use for the park? Are you hopeful about what the potential it has with the new things?
I think it's going to be an excellent addition to it. You know, a lot of kids will come down there and want to play. You could wind up striking up leagues, you know, in the summertime that will want to play down there in the park. It'll also be a great contributing factor to what we have done since we were kids and before, when we would celebrate the 4th of August.
Sure.
And briefly, I would add, it's a
Yeah.
multi-use
Right.
covered facility, so not just basketball.
Right.
Yeah.
It will be accommodating for outdoor entertainment.
Right.
You can have all sorts of things. It'll open up to the
Yeah.
community, so when we're having live festivals there at the park, we will be protected from the elements.
Which is great, yeah.
Which is awesome.
That's new.
Most
yes.
important.
Well, we're going to talk
Absolutely.
more about events planned, but thank you both for joining us and telling us about your role as stakeholders.
Thank you for having us,
Thank
Lisa.
you, Lisa.
We're going to take another break. When we return, we'll meet with 2 more stakeholders to talk about the impact of the renovations on celebrations and events held at Ewert Park.
We would have people from the area, you know, Pittsburgh, and the Oshos and the Glenas, and all come to Newburgh. Oh, we had a lot of fun. We had more fun than the Eagle's Nest, and we did, because most of the white people would go to the Joplin's Eagle's Nest, and we were allowed to go too. You know, we could go there, but we had more fun amongst our own folks back then, and that was more segregated.
They had on Friday night, they had, for the teenagers, they had Teen Town, and which is, they danced every Friday night from, I think, 7 o'clock to 10, when the parents come pick you up, you know, it's time to go home.
Welcome back. We've been talking about Ewert Park, its history, and now renovations. Joining us to further our discussion are 2 more stakeholders, former Joplin Mayor and restaurant owner Melody Colbert-Keene and Shalise Cooper. Ladies, welcome to Newsmakers.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
So you have a lot of history with this park. Just tell me why you wanted to be part of the stakeholder committee.
To make sure that we didn't lose the history of the park.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I chose to be.
Yeah.
How about you?
Shalise?
I just feel like if you were part of that park growing up, then you should have a say in what happens to that park.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, you posted that your family goes way back, living in Easttown multiple generations. You both talked about growing up here. What did Ewert Park mean to you as kids?
That was the place to hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, we always went for park days, emancipation days, but it was the place to go swimming. We walked from our houses with our friends down to the pool. You were at the pool all day, all day. That's back when Miss Betty Robinson was the curator for it, and it was just, it was an all-day affair.
There were Easter egg hunts.
Yes.
There were all kinds of things happening.
Yeah.
Just family getting together, having barbecues, and just get-togethers, gatherings, things like that.
Fun, socializing.
So there is a kiosk. What did you want to make sure is preserved? I mean, and then people see there at the park.
Well, it's the history, really, because a lot of times people say, oh, well, why do we have to have the Black history or that kind of thing? Well, why do we have to have any history? It's to learn from and to know that things haven't always been what we may see them as now. So that history educates people to what we came from to where we are now and why this park even came into existence.
And it was really utilized by a lot of families.
Absolutely.
There was education there as well. So you have Emancipation Days. I know it's been going on for years there. Let's talk about that. How will the renovations make a difference as to how you celebrate this year?
It's going to give us more opportunity to bring more education, bigger performances, just bring in a lot more people and things like that. Because, you know, right now, the way the park has been set up over the years, we've had to get event tents and we've had to get just different, you know, electric dropped and all kinds of things. With this renovation, it's going to help with a lot of that. So we won't have to basically spend as much money on those things and be able to bring more entertainment and educational pieces and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's an amphitheater coming, so I would think that would be very nice for the performing, you know, bands and things.
Yeah.
Accessibility.
Accessibility. Okay, so they're adding a basketball area and amphitheater. Do you think that will offer a chance to do even more than Emancipation Days?
Oh, definitely. I feel like church groups will be able to have things there, the schools, a lot of the after-school programs and places like that, the Boys and Girls Club, they utilize the park a lot just for different things, basketball tournaments, sporting events, things like that. It's going to really improve those things and, like Mel said, give more accessibility to those things.
And you feel like the park will increase in usage? I mean, were you seeing it not be used that much since it was kind of one of the older parks? I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
More than 100 years old, right?
Yeah, and some of the renovations that it had seen over the years, because all the parks are on a timeline for renovation, but Ewert was kind of lagged behind, I guess you could say. And when we did get something, it was, I won't say second, because the city did a good job. We, you know, we're appreciative of the city. Served on the council for many years, so we're appreciative of that. But we have to always keep things on a equity basis and on an equal basis, because if you're not putting money into your community areas, your community recreation areas, naturally your communities are going to go down.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the parks and stuff that are, you know, got all the money put into them, just take Schifferdecker, for instance, you know, booming. But when you put money into them, you're going to get back that community social input and people gathering, and the park will be vibrant and thriving.
Yeah.
So we're excited to see that with Ewert.
Yeah, moving the playground up front should be helpful as well, closer to making it accessible. What are some things you'd like to do? You know, what are your hopes and dreams for making this park even more useful?
I think one of the biggest things for me, I don't know if this is answering the question, but just really maintaining the traditions that we've had there, you know, like the Emancipation event, the Easter egg hunts and things like that. I think if those can come back down there, family gatherings and things like that, I think that's very important. You know, I think the stakeholders were really wanting to make sure that it becomes nice, the amenities are very nice, but maintain the tradition.
Traditions, yeah.
And do you think this continues the revitalization of Easttown? Do you think
I
this
think
can be
so. I think it
factor?
adds to it, because Easttown is the original founding area of Joplin, and a lot of people don't know that. Now, not like it looks now, but back in the day, that area, all that area is the original founding area of Joplin. And the original Route 66 runs right through it.
You bet.
You go, that's a natural connector from Rangeline Commercial and Missouri Southern out to downtown.
Yeah.
Goes right down Broadway. And so all of this put together and each piece being done and revitalized is just going to make the whole community rise, and which makes your whole city rise and grow.
Well, thank you for sharing all this information, and good luck to the future endeavors at Ewert Park.
We're excited.
Yeah, thank you.
That wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Thanks to our guest, and thank you for watching.